Retailers are rethinking the way they manage returns in the wake of a record holiday shopping season. On December 26th, historically the biggest day for returns, total volume was up more than 35% from the year prior. It's according to data from Loop Returns. And joining us with more on the evolving returns landscape is Jonathan Poma, Loop Returns CEO. Jonathan, it's good to see you. So that's a number that stands out there, Jonathan. December 26th, total volume was up more than 35%. Do we have any line of sight, Jonathan, into what is being returned? Not so much specific brands, but broadly, is it clothing, furniture?
Yeah. Pleasure to be here today. Thanks so much for having me. I think across the board, I mean, maybe it's a cliche, but I think anything being online is returned. We see in industries like apparel, return rates are as high as 20 or 30%. But even in home goods, in health and beauty, you're seeing 5, sometimes double-digit 10% return rates. So it really just comes down to, e-commerce is continuing to grow. Return rates in e-commerce are significantly higher than return rates in retail. And then specifically in holiday season, when we're buying gifts for other people, those return rates go up even further.
And Jonathan, I'm really curious how returns have changed, even during the era of e-commerce, if you will. For example, it used to be you got something, you could send it back, no problem, no cost. That seems to be changing as well. What are the biggest changes we have seen in the last year or two?
Yeah, totally. And you're right. Things are changing. I think, primarily maybe 2 things are happening at the same time. Consumer expectations continue to rise. So shoppers want free, they want easy returns, and logistics costs continue to rise. E-commerce logistics, the market is going to grow 6% annually over the next decade, ultimately becoming a $3.2 trillion market. And transportation and labor costs are really driving those costs higher. So merchants, their P&Ls are under scrutiny. Logistics is an area of focus. And with those increased costs, we're seeing merchants really try to dial in their policies. Retailers like Amazon, for example, they can leverage a massive data set to decide what customer should and shouldn't get a free return, what customer is abusing a policy or is executing a fraudulent return. And these direct-to-consumer retailers with a smaller data set really can't do the same things on their own. So they're introducing fees, introducing returnless refunds, and introducing all sorts of new things to try and reduce return volume overall as a percentage of sales, reduce returns and reverse logistics costs, and really mitigate the impact of returns, fraud, and abuse.
And Jonathan, I had this experience where I had a piece of furniture, Jonathan. I wanted to return it. And the company said, you know what, Josh, no worries, no drama, full return, but keep the furniture. We don't want it back. How much of a trend is that?
Yeah, it's a significant trend, Josh. We call that returnless refunds. And we've seen that up in our merchant base 55% year over year. And then obviously what we're trying to do on the back of it is help merchants continue to offer that when it's right and to mitigate the ability of bad actor shoppers from figuring that out and buying a $1,000 sofa and realizing that merchant's going to let them keep the item and give them a full refund.
Well, on the flip side, though, what's sort of the brand risk with that? Like, Josh is now stuck with something he doesn't want in his house, and if he wants to get rid of it, it's a pain in the butt to get rid of
firewood.
A piece of furniture. No, I mean, seriously, though. So, it seems like that's a little bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and Julie, to make sure I understand clearly what you're talking about. You're talking about if maybe a mattress, you buy a mattress, you don't want it, and all of a sudden the merchant's like, yeah, no, we'll give you a refund, but you got to figure out how to part ways with this. Yeah. No, it's a great question. It certainly is something happening in categories like home goods that might not happen elsewhere. Usually what we'll see is honestly that the shopper's willing to take the refund, and sometimes it's a pleasure and they can keep the item or give it to a friend or family. But other times I've actually been party to this myself, having to dispose of a cooling mattress cover. It's like, yeah, please, I was told, please dispose of this in like the most sustainable way possible. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to drag it out to my curb. So there's certainly a challenge there that certainly we have an opportunity to try to solve.
And Jonathan, I want to get you out of here on this relationship, Jonathan, you now have with a firm. Talk to me about how that partnership came about and kind of just what it's meant for your business.
Yeah, it's really been a pleasure. It came about, I got to know Max through 2021 and 2022, being sort of partners in the Shopify ecosystem. Max Levchin at Affirm, and I think we really found common ground with each other, caring a lot about our merchants and their shoppers, and enabling our merchants to deliver best in class experiences. Time flies. That deal feels like. In some ways, it was just yesterday, and in others, it was an eternity ago. But we're only, 100 days or so into the partnership, and priority one was together making sure that we took care of our merchants, enable them to get over to Loop, have a stable holiday season, provide a great return solution for them and their customers. And now that we're on the other side of holiday, we're actually catching up and taking a deep breath and exploring product synergies to kind of bring some of the best fintech offerings that Affirm, best in class fintech offerings that Affirm has, alongside our vision to build Loop into the best commerce operations platform in the world. And we're kind of just getting down to figuring out product synergies, but 2024 is a really exciting year ahead for us now that we've kind of first things first taken care of our merchants and their customers.
Jonathan, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yep, likewise. Appreciate you, Julie. Josh, thanks so much.